Hey everyone, Bill with Washington Gun Law here. Again, want to remind everyone that all of these interviews are being brought to us not only by our good friends at Right to Bear, so make sure you check them out in the description box below, but I do want to thank all the guys and gals at Forge Relations. They're the people that set all this up, doing all the camera work, doing all the editing work. Hey, if it looks like hell, make sure you remember Forge Relations did it. But no, seriously, check them out. They really do some fantastic work. This is Joe Panzani with Scorpion Services, and I want you to know that a couple weeks ago, he reached out to me. We sat down, did some geeking out on Zoom, talked about some stuff. My jaw hit the table a few times as we were talking about stuff, and I was like, dude, I got to get you on my channel. I got to get you out there and educating people. Joe, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Bill.
Before we get into the nitty-gritty, why don't you tell the folks out there a little bit about your background?
Okay, so I was a police officer for roughly 10 years. Left the force 2020, started selling security systems. Buddy of mine heard I was doing that. He owned his own web services company for the firearms industry, asked me to come work for him. I sold websites, stuff like that, but I really found a niche in the payment processing world. And last year I started my own agency for payment processing.
Okay, and the name of the agency is?
Scorpion Services.
Okay, and so tell me what makes Scorpion Services unique, and why would people in the firearms industry or industries related to the firearms, why would they be interested in talking to a company like you?
Well, first of all, we don't treat firearms companies as high risk, which is a choice that is made by every bank and processor. It's not law, doesn't have to be high risk, so I don't know why they're ever treated that way. Well, I do, because it costs more.
Right.
They have to pay more. So we don't do that. We personally have pledged not to release any information if asked, relating to what you might own or what you might sell or what you might do. They can figure that out on their own based on your sales and your data. We're not gonna liberty safe anybody.
Liberty safe. Yeah.
There's that. Other than that, we're just gun guys, so it helps that we understand. It helps get us through the application process a lot faster and talk to banks and underwriters with a little more knowledge about the industry, because it is a different
How long have you been doing the credit card processing and all that?
About 2.5, 3 years now.
Yeah. So as you got into this, you started discovering some things under the surface that the typical consumer would not know about.
Yeah.
Has a lot to do with merchant codes and things like that.
Yeah.
So what I want you to do is I want you to start educating all the viewers out there. First of all, what's a merchant code, and how are they using merchant codes to potentially set up our disarmament?
Okay. Let me kind of start with the application process.
Okay.
So a merchant will fill out an application for processing. They have to supply their FFL, obviously, and typically that was enough. For a long time, that was enough. They said they're licensed, whatever. About a year ago, they started adding this addendum to the application where the merchant had to answer all these questions that were basically self-evident by the fact that they had an FFL. How do you handle somebody who purchases 2 or more handguns in a single transaction? How do you keep track of the guns you sell? And
what do you do to prevent straw purchasing?
Exactly. And I realized at that
I follow the law. That's what I do,
At that point, I realized these people have no clue what they're talking about.
Right.
They're dealing with people who sell T-shirts and hot dogs and people who sell this regulated product. And it was disappointing. You would think that they would be up to speed on our industry. I mean, it's big money industry. You'd think they'd want to be good at it.
Right.
But then, as I researched more, than we talked about on Zoom that time, is the Operation Choke Point back in 2012, 2013-ish, where banks were going to start basically being an arm of law enforcement.
So tell the viewers a little bit more about that, because what I want the viewers to understand is unfortunately banks are like insurance companies in the sense that we are forced to do business with them.
Right.
You're going to have a bank in your life. You're going to have an insurance company in your life. But what people don't know, I think we understand the powers that banks have, but banks could literally be one of the greatest agents of disarmament.
Absolutely.
Humanly possible. Tell the viewer how that can be done.
Well, as we get to the new merchant code, a merchant code is a code given to merchant kind of just to categorize what they sell. Until now, roughly 5 months. Firearms and everything related was sporting goods.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I want the viewer to understand this here. So if I went into a Dick's Sporting Goods and I bought a basketball, a football, a firearm, and some ammunition, that would all traditionally have gone under one merchant code.
Correct. So, since we talked,
Yeah, okay, here we go.
I did go to was it Cabela's or Bass Pro?
One of those big box operations.
Because we had talked about that, like
Yeah.
how are they going to handle that?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, here's what they've done.
What?
There's registers now in the firearms section.
Of course.
So you get your
So anything that goes out of that
anything
register
that goes out of
is that
register.
merchant code.
Yeah.
And so if you try to go through the front counter with a
Yeah.
bunch of ammo,
They're not
they're gonna be
bringing
like,
it.
you need to
No.
go back there and bring that out back there,
they
right?
collect you get a number.
Yeah.
They collect everything you want to buy, bring it over to the register.
And ring it out of that register right
register.
there. So,
So-
we are getting a merchant code attached to that.
Correct.
So all the fishing gear and all that other crap camping gear
Out
you
the
bought,
front
that's
door. Yep.
that's entirely different merchant code.
Yep.
God
So
damn it.
and what you asked about was why is that dangerous? Is if Visa or MasterCard decides they're not going to have those transactions anymore, that's it. We can't purchase a firearm
Right.
anywher.
Right.
I mean, what isn't
As
Visa
we're
or
moving to a
MasterCard?
cashless society too.
Right, exactly. So it's this tidal wave that's coming. It's way out there.
But you can see it.
Yeah, but you can see it, and everyone's like, it's kind of far. But before you know it,
It's crashing down on you.
you're done. You have no more.
Yeah.
You can't
Well,
purchase a new gun.
because let me ask you this. Let's say, this is the hypothetical, but I'm the lawyer. I get to work in the hypothetical. Is we got some horrific mass school shooting by some 18-year-old kid that turns out that we traced the purchase of the firearm using a Visa card from a reputable FFL, and everything's by the book, and the guy just lost his mind. What stops Visa from just going, you know what? Effective tomorrow, you can't use our card to purchase firearms. What
Nothing.
stops them?
Nothing. Nothing stops him. And it's been done. So, like, I can't, his name escapes me. I think it was Dexter Taylor in New York. Have you heard about this case?
No.
He's an engineer, he's a retired guy. Was building guns in his home just as a hobby. In fact, his goal was to, like, create better weapon systems. Okay, no criminal record, no anything. The ATF kicked down his door, arrested him, took all his guns, ghost guns.
Uh-huh.
He never sold any of them. They're all for just a hobbyist. Got 10 years.
10
And
years.
the judge in the case said, when he said, this is my Second Amendment right, was his defense, stated on record, the Second Amendment does not apply in her courtroom.
I did hear about that.
You did hear that one?
I did hear about that one.
I was thinking, I'm like, he's got to have heard of
Yeah,
this.
that one rings a big old bell there, yeah.
How did they know he was doing that? His credit cards. It's not said outright, but American Express testified against him in court. So they're like playing law enforcement, right?
Yeah.
So, if he spent 40, if he wanted to spend all his money, what's the problem?
It's his money.
It's his money.
It's his
But
money. He does with it as he wishes.
I bet he would have liked to have known that somebody might say, like, hey, Dexter's spending all his money on gun parts, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
okay.
it's the only way they could have known. He wasn't selling these. He wasn't really, it wasn't a business. It was
So
just,
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
There's a possibility over the next 4 years that we're going to see the federal push at gun control quiet down considerably. That the ATF may go back into the garage for a bit. Now you're going to have the states like you're in Illinois.
yeah.
I'm in Washington. So our problems ain't going away anytime soon. You know that, right? Yeah, exactly. But if there's not this huge push on the federal level to regulate, are we going to see more privatization of tyranny? That is, are we going to see the companies like the credit card companies maybe be employed more? Or the shipping companies, the UPSs and the FedExes of the world that are going to be like, we're not going to ship this
There's
stuff
a lot
anymore.
of ways they could strip it without the government ever doing it.
Without ever passing a law.
So it's interesting because I kind of liken it to the concealed carry reciprocity problem, because right now this merchant code is a state thing. I bet you could guess where it started.
Well,
too.
yeah, and there's so the viewers know there's a lot of states that have passed legislation that said we're not going to allow these merchant codes to be used. However, there are other states that have basically said we're going to mandate that these merchant codes get used, and I think you're going to get to California now.
Yes, sir.
All right, tell us about
even if that's where this all comes from. All the crap comes from there, originates there anyway. But they, so that affects, so as far as reciprocity. So if you're in Washington and you want to buy from, well, not me because I'm in Cook County, but a freer state.
Yeah.
I mean, it affects even the states that are passing those, because is that transaction going to go through if you're ordering from me from another state that has
Well,
that,
I mean, that's the thing.
you know,
If Visa and MasterCard just said, nope, no more, then you could be living in the freest state in the United States. Unless you can pay cash for it, guess what? You ain't buying it.
yeah.
Right? As we're moving to a cashless society, too, which, and I understand why the FFLs don't want a bunch of cash lying around.
Yeah.
Same reason the cannabis stores don't like it, you know?
It's right now it's not a huge deal, but like I said, it has the potential to you know, right, we just had a major victory, right?
Yeah.
Yesterday was a big day.
Yesterday was a big day.
But it's not going to be there forever.
No,
so
there will be a change in the White House in 4 years.
Yeah, and
which direction it changes, we don't know, but there will be a change.
This seed has been planted, and you know, I mean, look at the social media groups. You know, the things they were doing, suppressing things and behind the scenes, and they don't have the same oversight the government has. We'll never know. So
you know what my scariest doomsday scenario is when we take government out of this thing is just think of all of the banks, insurance companies got together and just basically said, we're not going to insure people anymore if they own firearms. Yeah. Banks aren't going to allow anyone to process anything related to firearms or ammunition purchases whatsoever.
Well, the video you just did on if you have household members that are...
Oh, yeah, New Jersey.
So, like...
New Jersey. You guys suck.
It's spreading to where it's like, if you know somebody who knows somebody,
yeah,
you know, so,
yeah.
And in Illinois with the order protection and all that, having to give those firearms to the
law enforcement
now. So, I mean, if you couple that with like something like New Jersey, I mean, who can?
Right.
I know him, so I can't be in a car with him if he has a firearm. I'm in trouble. You know, who knows?
Yeah.
It's just.
So they're going to look for a lot of creative ways to do it because that pesky little thing called the Constitution keeps getting in the way, you know?
Yeah.
So if I'm an FFL,
yes, sir.
You know, let's say I'm running an independent gun store out in Washington, what's the advantages of doing business with Scorpion Services?
Well, you get to talk to me.
For one thing. There's what right there.
Yeah, I mean, we're here in America. Yeah, so if you do have a customer service issue, which you will, everybody has something happen.
Sure, stuff happens.
You know, I'm answering the phone or somebody in Texas or California. There is an office in California as well.
Yeah.
So I've worked with a lot of, because we partner with a larger processing company because you have to. That's just how it works. Right. You know, if you call customer service my last company, you'd get Korea or India and if you think they understand our Second Amendment rights
or care about them,
yeah,
right.
So yeah, there's that, and I undercut everybody. It's not about like making a profit for myself so much as it is keeping this industry, you know, flowing because. So if I have a day job.
Yeah. So hey, listen, if people are out there and they're curious about exploring doing business with you, how can they hook up with you?
I would love it if they'd call me direct. Can I give my number?
Hey, it's your number. Knock yourself out.
847-809-4982. You call or text me, or joe@scorpionservices.co, not .com, .co. And we'll hook you up. We'll give you a good deal, and you won't wake up one morning and you can no longer process on your website or whatever.
How long are you going to stay in Illinois? How long does Joe got left?
I got family there.
You do?
I got a son there. So.
Yeah. You know, that's the thing that kept
I'm there for the long haul. Yeah.
Well, you know, the thing that kept me tethered to Washington State for so long is my elderly parents. Yeah. You know, I didn't want to move away with mom and dad close to 90. And you know, then you get the call and something's happened and you're a 3-hour flight away and it's too late. So mom and dad are gone now, and I got great runs out of both of them. They live very, very long, great lives. But yeah, that to me is the only thing that the only other thing that's tethering me to Washington State.
What's that?
It's Mrs. Gunlaw right over there.
Oh yes, I got to meet her last night. She's lovely.
But yeah, one of these days you might turn on YouTube and see it's called Idaho Gunlaw or something like that.
Well, listen, I mean, I would go tomorrow. You know, it's just, but like, I want to stay there and make.
You want to stay there and fight, though, right?
Yeah, I want to stay there and give them a problem.
Because I noticed that about you. You don't have any quit in you.
No.
But you really do. You kind of want to. there is this desire to stay at home, dig your heels in, and say,
Well, it's
come
like
and get it.
Pritzker came and he's there for you. Like, I've been here. You just got here.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
How many generations of family are from Illinois?
Well, let's see. Well, my dad, their parents, and then not even America before that.
Well, no, because you have a very similar journey to me. Because every Kirk that's ever been an American citizen lived in Washington and is buried in Washington.
Well, there you go.
We got there in 1883
it's like,
when it was
why should we leave?
That's exactly it. It's my state.
Yeah.
Why should I leave my state? You get the hell out of here.
And it's kind of fun, you know, especially if you're inclined to argue.
Yeah, well, I get paid for it.
So, you know.
Well, and I love Illinois because y'all give me so much material to work with out there.
Keep it up. There's so many people that wouldn't know anything is going on if it wasn't for you.
Well, it's not like your government mainstream media wants to educate you.
No.
So
that thing with the thing, would they push that in 2 hours before the session closed or whatever?
Oh, you're on your red flag laws?
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I've talked about so much with Illinois is it's not what they do to their citizens, it's how they do it.
They don't care.
They hate you.
Yeah.
They absolutely hate you.
It's
It's
the
disgusting.
most corrupt state in the union.
It really is.
Yeah.
All right, one last time, Joe. Why don't you tell everyone if they want to do business with Joe Panzani, Scorpion Services, how do they do that?
Joe at scorpionservices.co or give me a call, 809-4982, area code 847.
Listen, you guys need to pay attention to what the banks are doing. You need to pay attention to this merchant code stuff. This is being done behind your back. This is going to be a huge, huge arm in the civilian disarmament movement. Thanks so much for coming by and geeking out with us and educating everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
First individual on call, and for whatever reason, if that goes through, we have actually 3 layers. So we have another and another. So if it continues to ring, it goes from one phone to the next to the next. So we're betting on our chances. The highly compensated team that we have is going to take that phone call. Mm-hmm. And then from there, they have that privilege, right? They have the attorney-client privilege and that right to share with them, our attorneys, of what just took place. We have a nationwide team of attorneys that's going to be able to reach out to our Arizona attorney to get them on the horn immediately. You know, we've had cases all over the country. Now,
You're not truly prepared unless you have Right to Bear back you. You will always get an attorney-answered hotline, so you will always have a confidential phone call. There are no cap limits for either civil or criminal defense. This covers all forms of self-defense. So from a fist to a firearm, from a fat lip to a dead body, you are covered, and you will have some of the nation's most passionate 2A attorneys in your corner fighting for you. And right now, if you visit my friends at protectwithbear.com and you use the promo code WGL, you will receive 10% off. Listen, you need to protect yourself so that you can protect them. Visit my good friends at protectwithbear.com.